I never thought it would come to this. As I sit in my empty apartment, surrounded by wedding decorations and half-packed boxes, I can't help but feel a deep sense of dread. Just a few days ago, everything seemed perfect. I was about to marry the love of my life, John, a man who had stood by me through thick and thin. But now, everything is falling apart, and it's all my fault. Or is it? John and I met 5 years ago at a mutual friend's party. From the moment we locked eyes, I knew there was something special about him. He was kind, intelligent, and incredibly handsome. Our relationship blossomed quickly, and before long, we were inseparable. When he proposed to me a year ago, I was over the moon. I knew he was the one I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. Our life together had always been a series of beautiful moments, woven together by love and understanding. From lazy Sunday mornings spent in bed, wrapped in each other's arms, to the thrilling adventures we embarked on during our travels. We had shared dreams, shared goals, and a future that seemed so bright. We were the couple everyone envied, the kind of love story that inspired others to believe in soulmates. But then, I met Tom. Tom was everything John wasn't. He was adventurous, spontaneous, and had a dangerous edge that I found irresistibly attractive. We met at a work conference 6 months ago, and our connection was instant. What started as innocent flirting quickly escalated into something much more. Before I knew it, we were sneaking around behind John's back, stealing moments whenever we could. Tom was different. He brought out a side of me I hadn't seen in years, a side that was wild and carefree. He made me feel alive in a way I hadn't felt in a long time. It wasn't that John didn't make me happy, he did. But with Tom, it was like a fire had been ignited inside me. I told myself it was just a fling, that it didn't mean anything, but deep down, I knew that wasn't true. I was falling for Tom, and the guilt was eating me alive. As the wedding day approached, the pressure became unbearable. I wanted to come clean to John, but I was terrified of losing him. I convinced myself that I could keep my secret buried and start fresh with John after the wedding. The days leading up to the wedding were a whirlwind of activity. There were fittings, tastings, and countless meetings with vendors. Every detail had to be perfect, and it was my job to ensure it was. But as the excitement grew, so did my anxiety. I was living a double life, balancing between my role as a loving fiancé and my secret affair with Tom. Every time I saw John's face light up with joy, my heart would ache with guilt. He was so happy, so oblivious to the storm brewing beneath the surface. I knew I was betraying him in the worst possible way, but I couldn't bring myself to end things with Tom. Our moments together were intoxicating, a forbidden pleasure that I couldn't resist. Then, there were the stolen moments with Tom. We would meet in secret, our encounters filled with passion and danger. Each time we were together, I told myself it would be the last, but it never was. Tom would whisper sweet nothings in my ear, telling me how much he wanted me, how much he needed me. And in those moments, I believed him. One night, just a week before the wedding, Tom and I met at a hotel. It was supposed to be our final goodbye, a chance to end things before I became a married woman. But as soon as we were alone, all our resolve melted away. We couldn't keep our hands off each other, our desire too strong to resist. Afterward, as we lay in bed, Tom turned to me, his eyes filled with a mixture of love and desperation. "Emma, I can't do this anymore. I can't watch you marry someone else. Leave John. Be with me." His words sent a shockwave through me. I had never considered leaving John, not seriously. The thought of it terrified me. John was my safe haven, my future. But as I looked into Tom's eyes, I felt a flicker of doubt. "I can't," I whispered, tears filling my eyes. "I love John. I can't leave him." Tom's expression hardened. "Then you're going to marry him and live a lie for the rest of your life. Is that what you want?" I didn't have an answer. I was torn between two worlds, unable to choose. The next morning, I left the hotel with a heavy heart. knowing I had to face the consequences of my actions sooner or later. That moment came sooner than I expected. Just 5 days before the wedding, John confronted me. His face was a mixture of anger and pain as he held up his phone, showing me the incriminating messages between Tom and me. "Care to explain this?" he asked, his voice trembling with barely suppressed rage. My heart sank. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me as I struggled to find the right words. "John, I am so sorry. It was a mistake. It didn't mean anything. I swear." John's eyes hardened. "Didn't mean anything. Emma, you've been cheating on me for months. How could you do this to us?" Tears streamed down my face as I tried to reach for him, but he pulled away. "Please, John, let me explain. I love you. I've always loved you." He shook his head, his expression one of utter disbelief. "You love me? Is that why you've been sneaking around with another man? I thought we were happy, Emma. I thought you were happy." "John, you don't understand," I pleaded, my voice rising in desperation. "I wouldn't have cheated if you were there for me. If you had paid more attention to me, I wouldn't have needed someone else." His eyes flashed with anger. "So now, this is my fault. I wasn't enough for you, so you decided to find someone who was. That's your excuse?" "You were always busy, always working," I continued, ignoring his rising fury. "I felt neglected, John. I needed someone to be there for me, to make me feel wanted. And Tom did that." John's face turned red with anger. "This is unbelievable. You're actually blaming me for your cheating. You're trying to justify betraying me." "I'm not trying to justify it," I snapped back, my own anger bubbling to the surface. "But you must see your part in this. You weren't there for me, and I felt utterly alone. I needed someone, and you weren't there." John's hands balled into fists at his sides. "I can't believe you're saying this. I've been nothing but supportive of you. I've given you everything, and this is how you repay me?" I opened my mouth to argue, but he cut me off. "No, Emma, I don't want to hear any more excuses. You betrayed me, and nothing you say will change that." He packed a bag and left that night, leaving me alone in our apartment with nothing but my guilt and regret. The next few days were a blur. I tried calling him, texting him, begging him to come back, but he refused to speak to me. Our families and friends were shocked when they heard the news. Everyone had thought we were the perfect couple, and now they were caught in the crossfire of our shattered relationship. The wedding was called off, and I was left to pick up the pieces of my broken life. I've spent countless nights lying awake, replaying everything in my mind, wondering how I could have been so stupid. How could I have thrown away the best thing that ever happened to me for a fleeting affair? I keep asking myself if I was in the wrong, if there was any way to justify my actions, but deep down, I know the answer. The days turned into weeks, and I found myself alone, isolated from the life I once knew. My friends were divided. Some sympathised with John, while others tried to support me, though I could see the judgment in their eyes. My parents were devastated. They had adored John and were looking forward to welcoming him into the family. Now, they could barely look at me without expressing their disappointment. I tried reaching out to John, hoping for a chance to explain, to apologise, to beg for his forgiveness. But every attempt was met with silence. He had blocked me on every platform, and his friends refused to pass on my messages. It was as if I had ceased to exist in his world, and it was a punishment I deserved. I even tried to contact Tom, but he had vanished from my life just as quickly as he had entered it. His phone was disconnected, and he had left his job. I was alone, completely and utterly alone. I spent my days in a haze of regret and self-loathing. I couldn't escape the memories of John's face when he confronted me, the hurt and betrayal in his eyes. I had destroyed the person I loved most in the world, and I didn't know how to live with that. As I sit here, staring at the remnants of what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, I can't help but feel a burning resentment. How could John throw away everything we had over one mistake? A small, insignificant mistake. Yes, I cheated, but it wasn't like I didn't have my reasons. How could he not see that I was suffering? How could he be so blind to my needs? I keep asking myself if I was wrong to believe in such a man. A man who would abandon me at the first sign of trouble, who wouldn't even try to understand why I did what I did. I thought he loved me, truly loved me. But now I see that he was just as flawed as anyone else. Maybe more so. Maybe he never really knew me, never really cared to know me. I can't believe how blind I was to not see such a big red flag. How could I have been so naive to think that a man who couldn't even see my pain was the one for me? Maybe this was a blessing in disguise. Maybe it's better I found out now rather than later. Was I wrong to believe in such a man? A man who couldn't forgive, who couldn't understand? As much as it hurts, maybe this is the clarity I needed. Maybe now I can finally find someone who will truly see me, understand me, and be there for me in the way I need. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Drop a comment below to let me know your thoughts or if you have any questions. And as always, keep exploring and stay awesome. See you in the next video.